Good morning, everybody. Kindly give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can see me and if you can hear me. I can see the thumbs up right there. Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. All right, fantastic. Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the Pan-African Tech North Africa Emerging Technologies Training Bootcamp. I'm super excited to be welcoming you all today. I hope that we are going to have a fantastic day. We are all going to learn a lot. And of course, I hope that you will be engaging with us here on AirMeet as well as on social media. I am going to be inviting onto the stage now Elaine, Tet, and Kazi, who are part of the Pan-African Tech team, followed by Wiem, who is our North Africa Hub lead, as she just shares a bit more on the vision and the direction in which the North Africa Hub is going. So, Elaine, Tet, and Kazi. Elaine, I have Tet, and Kazi. Where is Kazi? Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, Lorraine.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Yes, there, Kazi.
Lorraine.
Amazing.
Kazi, wonderful.
Good morning. How are you all doing?
Morning.
Good
Very
morning.
well, thank you.
Very well, thank you.
It's good to see you.
Okay, fantastic. I am giving you 6 minutes to do a brief introduction and welcome everybody. Share with them the vision of PATF, after which we will be joined by Wiem on stage. So, Elaine, over to you.
Hello, everybody. It's such a wonderful Saturday morning. I'm happy to see you all here. A lot of work has gone into planning this bootcamp, and I just want to say thanks to Wiem Fahim, who is our North Africa sub-regional lead. She's done an excellent job together with Lorraine for us to put this up. I just want to tell you a little bit about Pan-African Tech Foundation, which is why we're here. Pan-African Tech Foundation was set up last year in September 2020. The purpose of Pan-African Tech Foundation was to ensure that the fourth industrial revolution would be implemented in Africa, and also to ensure that Africa was not going to be left behind, particularly because there's a technological revolution taking place in the world, as you can all see today, with blockchain, artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning, robotics. All of these things are taking on in the world. And if we don't step in for Africa, we feel that Africa may get left behind. The wonderful thing about this is that you will see that a number of people in Africa have already started to take their place within this fourth industrial revolution. And when I say a number of people, you will see from our speakers that these are people who mean business. These are people who want to see Africa take its place on the map and even leapfrog above the West, so that we as Africans can have the pride that we deserve to have even within this new technological revolution. So the whole purpose of Pan-African Tech Foundation is to ensure that we have these boot camps, training sessions, and we run various projects across the continent and work together as one people, one continent, one Africa, to ensure that the world notices us, the rest of the globe notices us, and we are never left behind. So I just want to say thank you all this morning for coming. And I think my 2 minutes is overdue. So I'll let Ted take it away.
Hi all, thank you so much. But I'm passionate about Pan-African Tech Foundation because it solves a problem that has long worried me. By 2050, the population of Africa will double. Right now, Africa is still the youngest continent on the planet. The median age where I live here in the United Kingdom is 40.7 years. In Morocco, it's 20.9 years. In Ghana, it's 20.7. So, given the fact that Africa's population will double by the year 2050, there are going to be a lot of young people out there, a lot of idle hands. Now, we can reap a massive demographic dividend from this, or it can be a demographic time bomb. This is where Pan African Tech Foundation comes in, not only for men, but particularly also for young women. So, look, I'm just inspired to see so many people with an interest in tech, because tech is the big stick Africa can wield at the table and equalize all the deficiencies that we have at the moment. And so, look, I hope you have a fantastic day. And not only that, after this, I hope you make great and lasting connections, because we are going to need each other's creativity and inspirational work. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you very much, Tech. I greet you from across the pond here. I greet you in African unity. I greet you as a global people. One of the greatest gifts that we have to this world is the one thing that we all have in common, and that is that being true to where we come from, that being Africa, one of the richest places in terms of land when it comes to resources, not only from an agriculture, not from an oil perspective, but from a people perspective. When it comes to thinking about some of the original blockchains that have actually come forth, we have to look at the mystery schools in Egypt and if we look at things when it comes to Egyptology and how that stolen legacy has now been extracted, that was one of the original blockchains that was out there that the world has had the opportunity to benefit from, as now you start to look at what transatlantic and global trade look like. We now look at bridging the past of the greatness of who we are as a people to moving forward into Industrial 4.0. Us as African people, we have a strong staple and a history here to be able to transcend any obstacle that has been put before us. Many of the things that we've been facing is not a tragedy, but what it has been shown is our great adversity. Even as we look at things like the transatlantic slave trade, when it comes to the culture that's even been received in America, intellect, intelligence, innovation, you'll be amazed of how much it came from the African people landing here in 1619. So when we look at the global world and the impact that Africa has, we have a great opportunity here in technology to continue to transcend and take things to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elaine, Ted, and Kazi. We definitely can hear from you the vision and the heart that you have for Africa and working to create lasting solutions as the Pan-African Tech Foundation team. So now I'm going to be inviting onto the stage William Fahim, who is okay, I think she just has a bit of a connection challenge there. But I'm going to be inviting onto the stage William Fahim, who is our PATF North Africa Hub lead. She is essentially overseeing all the work that we are doing in North Africa. This is Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Sudan. I believe I've mentioned all the 5 countries in which we are working in North Africa. So for everybody who has just joined, welcome. I hope you are excited about today. Momentarily, we will be having our first training session, which is from Hussein as we get into what blockchain is. So just a quick heads up for everybody. Kindly note that we have a chat available that you are able to use at any time to comment, ask a question if you have any questions. We also have an option for you to send a direct message to anybody on the team, rather anybody who is attending here today. And if you feel connection is a stable, you also have the option rather to switch to a low definition mode, which would use just a little less bandwidth. You will see that in the menu bar at the bottom of your screen. So you can do that just so that you don't get disconnected as we go along. And I also just wanted to ask you to share on your social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on your LinkedIn. Take a screenshot of what you see going on, share on your social media with the hashtag PATF North Africa, hashtag PATF North Africa. So I don't seem to have Wiem. I think she might just be having a bit of a connection issue here because I just wanted her to come and welcome us. All right, William will be giving us a welcome in French because, as you know, we are in a French-speaking region. I unfortunately only know how to say bonjour and merci beaucoup. Welcome us to this event in French. I will also be asking you if you are more comfortable to speak in French. You can kindly go ahead and write your question in French. Any one of our speakers and or attendees. Also, as we go along, some of our speakers will answer questions that you might have in French as well. So with that being said, I seem to be having a bit of a problem with adding William on stage. So let me just try one last time, and then I will then be moving right along to the first part of our program where we have Hussein and the training on blockchain. All right, fantastic. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Elaine. And thank you so much, Kazi. I will be moving on now on blockchain.
Hi, Lorraine. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon.
I think it's morning for most of us. Hi, Hussein.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing great. Thank you.
It's good to see
Thanks for having me.
We have,
Awesome.
a bit past month leading up to our event today. So before we kick off, I would just like you to share two things that are interesting about you that we haven't read from your bio. So nothing as far as your bio is concerned, just so that we could get to know you a little bit.
Awesome. Okay, so apart from my bio, what I don't mention a lot, which I should mention, is I'm a kind of a nerd. I'm super into comic books, especially like Superman, Spider-Mans, and everything. And what I'm actually is a vintage comic book collector and trader, actually. So when you think about Supermans and Spider-Mans all the way back to 1940s, 50s, it's a market that's mostly in the US and Canada. And I've been doing that for a couple of years. That's besides all the blockchain stuff and shipping stuff you might have read about in my bio, or if you've just stalked me a little bit on LinkedIn or whatever. So so this I think this is some kind of the inner child that I channel through the vintage and collectible industry I've been participating in.
Cool. I never would have known that, but it's not too far off. No, it's not too far off. I can see the nerd in you. I can
Okay.
Okay, fantastic. This and he is the founder of the Blockchain Hub in Cairo, Egypt. And he will be taking us through blockchain, its uses, essentially just the basics of what blockchain is. If you have any question, write it in the chat. You are welcome to write your questions in English and in French. We will do our best to answer you in either language. Hussein, I'm going to hand over to you now for the next hour, and I'm going to excuse myself from the stage as you go on with your training. So you can go ahead and start sharing your screen.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Lorraine, for the intro.
Awesome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Pan-Africa Tech Bootcamp. My name is Hussein, and I'm the founder of the Blockchain Hub Egypt. It's basically an online platform dedicated to teaching the fundamentals and basics of this groundbreaking technology. I remember first hearing about it back, I think, 2015, 16, with, I'm sure all of you heard about Bitcoin being the first practical application to this, revolutionary technology. I've been a blockchain addict ever since, and I'm really excited to just going through this, I would say, crash course. So let's just jump in. Do you all see my screen? Lorraine, if you could just confirm, because I just have to. Okay, there we go. Awesome. Okay, so blockchain. I'm sure you've heard about it a lot in the news lately. This technology and institutions and startups and blockchain startups. So I wanted to state that blockchain is this groundbreaking technology is going to change humanity's interactions forever. I call it the decentralized revolution. So before going into what blockchain is, I wanted to start with ledgers. I mean, why would we start with ledgers, and what are ledgers? So when you think about ledgers and records, record keepers and stuff, so we think about an archive or a file or something that you input and you keep track of transactions or information in a ledger. Like so if you're in accounting, it's a very famous and well-known term that you just input all the transactions. And if you think about ledgers in a broader sense, it's basically a record of information and data. And you can use that ledger to transfer information, transfer value, transfer whatever. I mean, you could just record any kind of interaction online or whatever using this ledger. And you could do it online or offline. So at the beginning, ledgers were basically offline, just books or pages and pages of just transactions and information recording, ownership of assets, information, data. It could be practically anything. So when we think about ledgers now and this record of information in our new digital economy, or this digital economy we're living, any kind of interaction you can think of, anything at all. So when we talk about your bank accounts, you trust the bank to keep and maintain your ledger of transactions and the balance of your funds in the bank, and also helps you to send and receive money from other parties. Your emails, you can think of any email provider. They use a record or a ledger somewhere. It's as a form of files and an archive where they store all the transfer of information in the form of emails between you and your friends or your colleagues at work. So land registries, medical records, anything you could think of is recorded somewhere on a trusted, and we're going to attest we're going to challenge the word trusted, centralized record keeper. And this is the key in when we lead our way into why these centralized institutions are a problem, or what are the disadvantages of working with these or using these record keepers. So basically, as we all know, I mean, most of the developing countries still use, if you're going maybe to the land registry or you want to renew your ID or anything that has to do with record keeping, most of it is paper-based. So we use papers and archives to store and renew these kind of certificates, for instance. So, and if they're using some kind of digitized system, Excel file or something, you know for a fact that when you visit any of these institutions, they're basically, sometimes they have their system down, or their filing system is prone to hacks or just damage. That's I mean, these are just all common problems. And in some cases, you might think as the institutions like financial institutions like banks, they have these barriers to entry for you to access this economy or access this service. Basically, if you don't, just a simple fact, if you don't have an ID, you can't do anything. Practically just open a bank account without an ID. And we know that maybe 1.8 billion people around the world don't have IDs. So this is just another whole conversation, but these are the kinds of barriers in place for most people to just interact with these kind of services. And finally, we know that, I mean, people are not perfect, and if there's this centralized entity that's maybe in charge of your land ownership certificate, I mean, someone can just take a bribe somewhere and change the details or information with the certificate, and so this trusted centralized party might not be as trustworthy as we might think. So this introduction, this lead up to blockchain, and we hear this word a lot, decentralized ledgers, and when I mean, I want you to think about blockchain as it's a technology. I mean, it's not an application. It's not a company. It's not I mean, it's touted as the new internet, but it's actually, quite simply, it's a new way of recording any kind of information on the internet. So think about any kind of information you can think about, with your emails, with financial transactions, anything you can think of. Communication, you can do it through blockchain technology. And this technology just empowers people to transact in a peer-to-peer manner. And when I say peer-to-peer, means person-to-person interaction. You don't need someone in the middle, like a third party or someone in the middle to govern this kind of interaction between people. So decentralized, distributed. So we talked about like a minute ago about centralized ledgers. So when you think about decentralized ledgers, think about this exact same file. If you're going to the land registry and you have your file or whatever record that records your ownership of a car, or maybe just the ownership of your piece of land or house, then this file is recorded across multiple computers that are connected to the internet around the world. It could be multiple computers or servers that are just scattered all over. So if just one thing happens to one of them, the rest keep on working and keep on maintaining exactly the same record. So like I said, it could be transfer of money, transfer of ownership, transactions, IDs, email correspondences. I mean, think about anything online that is recorded somewhere, that it could be recorded in a different way using blockchain technology. And this global network, or this decentralized network that runs this new filing system, the new distributed ledger, they communicate together using, I mean, obviously the internet. And once they reach agreement on the state and the validity of the information that is recorded, which is called consensus, the information is recorded on this ledger forever. I mean, it becomes just part of the history, because all of these computers worldwide, what they do is maintain exactly the same copy of this record. You don't depend on this one single point of control or this entity that controls the record. So why is it called blockchain? Quite simply, I mean, it's how, like we said, how this information is stored. So think about it as when you have like an Excel file, maybe, and you have these cells in the Excel file. If you're just using Excel, you're using all these cells. So think about the block as like a packet, or like a box or a cube where you just can store amounts of information. Like we said, it could be anything into these blocks. And once this block or this cell is filled with information, a next block is generated, and they all tied together with a chain. And we're going to understand the significance of this chain and significance of this dependency of the chain of the blocks, which is the blockchain. So let's take a very simple example, okay? So let's say we are transacting, or just two people called Alice and Bob, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Alice and Bob if you just attended any online presentation or anything. Alice and Bob are very famous two people who are just always in the mix and always doing transactions, and always an example. So Alice and Bob, they transact using the Pan Africa Tech Foundation token, which does not exist, but I mean, it's some kind of thing or some kind of piece of information that they exchange online. So instead of having this exchange done through a centralized entity, what happens is they exchange this token or this thing online, and this transaction between Alice and Bob is recorded into the block. And not only that, but a timestamp and their identities, or pseudo identities. I'm going to mention that in just a second. And finally, a hash is recorded into this block. So let's take a step back. So this interaction between Alice and Bob is a transaction or a transfer of value or information. And it's recorded into this hypothetical block that records all similar transactions, like the transaction done between these two people. And finally, when the block, when the network of computers and people who run this network that records such information generate a new block, what happens is a mathematical thing, like a mathematical problem or something, is generated, and they use these, and the input of these transactions are used to form a unique hash or unique fingerprint that is unique just to this block, based on the information that is input into the block. So if any kind of change happens to these transactions, automatically the fingerprint changes. Okay, so the next thing, once this block is filled, a new block is formed. And this new block, what happens is, when it comes to, I mean, other people like Alice and Bob and their friends, family, colleagues, they transact, and all of these transactions are used and are recorded in the new block. And when we generate this new block takes the hash or the fingerprint of the prior block. So block number 2, I'm going to take this unique fingerprint from block number 2, put it into like an equation, add the new transactions, and generate a new hash, a new fingerprint. Okay, I think there's a question somewhere. Are we online yet? I mean, I got a message. Are we good? Just mention in the chat box if we're still online, I guess. Yes, okay, awesome. Okay, so moving on. So like I said, this new block has the information of the previous block, which generated this fingerprint, and the new block generates this new hash and fingerprint. So this dependency, these chains of blocks are all connected to each other using this unique system of dependency. So they are all chained together to form this, I mean, immutable. And we're going to just understand what yeah, immutable means. What does immutable mean? What's so special about this way of recording information? Simply because I mean, this mechanism of forming these unique identifiers, these hash or these fingerprints, form this dependency where each block depends on the information recorded in the previous one to issue this unique new fingerprint. So let's say anyone tries to edit or delete or anything in previous blocks, automatically this person changes everything that follows. And if this kind of attack happens or is attempted, automatically the network blocks this attack and is automatically flagged. So this is what brings security and dependency to this type of technology, and how it's called. I mean, it's immutable, it's tamper-proof, and it's tamper-proof, something that cannot be edited, cannot be deleted, cannot be changed. So this is the main essence of what gets that causes this insane admiration to this new way of recording on information online. So, like we said, the main characteristics and the advantages of using distributed ledgers or decentralized blockchains. So it's immutable, like you said, it's tamper-proof, it cannot be edited, information cannot be deleted, it's auditable. So this is one of the things that's quite peculiar. So with centralized ledgers, only the people who generate or store this information and the ledger or the record only have access to the record. But with decentralized ledgers or blockchain, the record is public. And when I say public, anyone can audit the transaction information. So next is, like we said, it's decentralized. So the record does not depend on a single point of control or failure. So we have exactly the same record redundantly updated and stored across this network of computers. And finally, this kind of interaction, and when Alice and Bob send this token, or they exchange value through this new way of exchanging value on the blockchain, there's no central party or there's no third party that governs or enables this kind of interaction, because it's all based on a peer-to-peer network. So we depend on the network to transmit the information and store the information. Moving on, I mean, when it comes to security and trust, I mean, how secure is your information when it's stored and maintained amongst thousands of people and computers around the world, which you don't know? Because, I mean, before, like, traditionally, we depend on a trusted third party or trusted record keeper to maintain or to enable these kinds of interactions. So you trust your bank to keep a record of your funds. You trust maybe an email or famous email provider to keep a record and maintain your emails and your exchange with other people. You trust a social network to record your data. But when it comes to decentralized networks and blockchain, so you put your faith in people who are scattered around the world that you don't know, and you trust them to store and enable these kinds of transactions. So what prevents these people from maybe taking control of the network or acting in any bad way to change or do anything to these to this network and just change anything on in the record? So most, if not all, of the decentralized blockchains, they use two things to secure the network. First, like we mentioned before, there's always, with each of these networks, there's a kind of a rule book or a set of rules in code. So when it's something in code, in computer code, it cannot be changed, and it's called a consensus algorithm. I mean, consensus algorithm, and consensus means agreement. So before information are stored in these blocks, the set of information needs to be validated and authenticated using cryptography. And cryptography is basically the simple, it's not simple, but it's just simply how simple text and simple piece of information that is readable can be encoded and formed like this code that only the two participants that are involved in a transaction or this exchange of information can only read it. So the network of computers and people who run the network, they use this agreement rulebook to store information. And second, there's an incentive mechanism. And I'm sure all of you heard of the first, Bitcoin. So when it comes to Bitcoin, for example, Bitcoin is a financial application. It's a monetary system, and Bitcoin itself is like a digital asset or a digital token that rewards the network that runs this new financial system in the form of this digital token as a thank you for them acting in a good way and maintaining the network and facilitating all these kinds of transactions. So what are the use cases for such a technology? And before I move on, I'm just going through very basic use cases, but at the end, I'm just going to talk about how just blockchains, applications, and real life use cases are just endless and bound by just the imaginations of people, basically. So file storage and data storage, like we said, if we take, for example, our land registry department or whatever that just records our ownership of assets. So in many developing countries, and I mean Egypt as well, if I go to the land registry, I see piles and piles. Yeah, hi.
Hi, sorry to pop in here.
No worries.
We can't see your screen anymore. So if you could kindly go back to sharing your screen. Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
Just give me a second. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Right. Sorry about that. Connections sometimes just drop. Okay. So back with file storage and centralized institutions. So I, for one, when I go to the local DMV or the land registry just to I don't know, if I just want to change and just update my ID. I mean, the place is just swarming with people, obviously, and just files scattered all over the place, and it's just total chaos. And this system of this filing system, we depend on these institutions to maintain our files and our data and trust them to maintain an honest and updated state of all of our assets, basically, or our information. So these institutions, they are prone to obviously loss or just damage. Let's say just a flood hits or something, and this whole archive is destroyed. Or if they're using a filing system like an online filing system, it's definitely centralized. It's just maybe they have just one, or maybe a backup somewhere. So there's maybe the internet connection might be down, or the file just corrupted, and we lose all your data. And like we said, maybe the guy who was working there just corrupt and just took a bribe and changed the title, the deed to your house or your land, and you lose, and you go all into this legal lawsuit. So think about all of these problems with conventional institutions. And when it comes to blockchain, there's a very simple solution. So let's take the example of the title to your house. So the title of your house is a form of like a plain text file. Let's say it's a PDF file. And what happens is, to store this contract or store this file onto the blockchain, this new way of recording information, something happens is we generate a hash, like we previously mentioned, like this unique fingerprint that transforms this plain text file, this unique PDF file, into a unique hash, this code. And this code is recorded into a block, and this block becomes part of the blockchain, which, like we said, is immutable, and they're all connected to each other. So your deed becomes another transaction, or becomes another piece of data that is recorded within this block and forms the hash to the next one and the next one. And this whole record is recorded on the decentralized network of computers. Okay, so let's say I went back, or there's some kind of dispute, and someone else claims that I have the deed. I mean, I own this piece of land. So we submit this file to the global decentralized, or this global decentralized network of computers, and the review takes seconds, because what happens is there's a cross-reference check between the original and the hash of the original. So if it matches, it's going to give a valid return, and if it's not, it's just going to be invalid. It's that simple, because the code is unique to this just one file. If anything changes in this file, the hash or the fingerprint changes. It's that simple. So when we think about the advantages of such a solution and the possibilities, think about, like we said, the immutability. I mean, no one can ever change. I mean, unless someone just forcibly just takes your land, you have a piece of history in your hand. No one can claim otherwise. No one can claim that they have changed or edited anything in this contract or your ownership of the land. And this is revolutionary. And think about all the cost saving involved. I mean, you have a permanent and record of history of all the transactions and all the data on the blockchain. And as we've seen, as we're going to see in just a couple of minutes, how fast the validation process is to validate a piece of information using blockchain. So just to go through quickly some other industries where this revolutionary technology is used. So with, let's say, I mean, supply chain and shipping. I mean, I for one would claim that, I mean, would definitely say that shipping is, I mean, most of the cargo, if not like 80-90% of the cargo moved worldwide are on ships. Ocean freight is, I mean, is one of the leading industry, biggest, most, I mean, essential industries on the globe. And there is an insanely amount of paperwork involved, not to mention the third parties, the service providers just involved in just one single transactions of just shipping one thing from point A to point B. So think about how blockchain can revolutionize, and just all the cost saving involved, and all the tracking, or how tracking paperwork could be easier and tamper proof, like we said, so no one can actually change anything that has been recorded on the blockchain. As a consumer, at some point you can track a certain product you just buy at the store all the way back to its origins, because each and every step that product takes along the supply chain is recorded on this distributed, decentralized record, which is the blockchain. And next, with intellectual property, first thing that comes to mind are maybe music producers and songwriters. And you always hear in the news this, I mean, some producer or singer claims that some other singer stole their beats, or stole their song, or stole their, I don't know, rhythm or whatever. Or so imagine each songwriter or each producer has their just record their song with their beats, with anything onto the blockchain. So whoever claims to be the first one to have, I mean, just to be the one who recorded this piece of music, we can just head back and quickly check and validate, not just trust. We don't need to trust anyone, because we can validate on this new public record. Okay, so next we have healthcare management. And if I can just say that Estonia and its government now, they piloted this new blockchain initiative where their citizens have a medical ID which is anchored to the blockchain. And what happens is now all the citizens have their medical records and history in this decentralized record or ledger so if you're a patient and you go to any hospital or clinic, they don't depend on you to bring in the information and your medical history. Now they can, with your obviously help and access, and they ask you basically for access for your information now, so you control your information. So what happens is now they can see all the history or your medical history. And think about how innovative it is when medical practitioners and doctors can see all your history and try to work out customized medication based on your medical history. It's just mind-blowing. And finally, credentialing and academic certificates. And I, for one, as a business owner, I tell you that and a lot of businesses face this issue with applicants having false credentials and false certificates. And just if you just hop online and you can just have a certificate from Harvard or Princeton or whatever, and you just claim you went to this college, or claim you went to this institution, or claim you got this finished this course somewhere. So as an employer, I don't need to trust that person. I can just validate and just cross-reference this certificate or whatever he's or she's just providing as proof of experience, and immediately check its validity. I don't need to trust anyone. I need just to validate. Finally, with blockchain and the rapid innovation, blockchain, when we combine it with other technologies, I'm talking about IoT, the Internet of Things, and AI, we have a revolution coming, people. We have something that's just going to change our interactions forever. So we're surrounded now with devices, wearables. Everything now is connected to the internet. Objects and devices, everything is now connected to the internet. And with devices, with their sensors, they gather immense amounts of data. And for any human being to make sense of this data, we need a super brain or like Superman to kind of make sense of the patterns of this data. And this is where artificial intelligence comes in. And these mini brains, they kind of figure out in a meaningful way these patterns of data, and they just go through this immense amount. And finally, we have the final piece of the puzzle. We have this immutable record. We have this global network that enables peer-to-peer transactions, or just person-to-person, or actually machine-to-machine interactions, because everyone has access to this new economy and this new way of exchanging value and information. It's quite revolutionary, and it's just this we're just hopping onto a new era of digitization and access that humanity has never experienced before. So thank you. I really hope this crash course was beneficial and you learned something today. Blockchain is way bigger. It's just what we went through today is just not even a drop in an ocean. Blockchain is going to change humanity forever. I'm a big believer, and I sleep, eat. Blockchain is everything. And as a thank you and as a real life use case to the technology, we're offering the certificate of attendance to this course. And what's cool about it is that this certificate is anchored to the blockchain. So if you head down to the blockchainhubeg.com and let's just like a quick demo of things. So I'm just going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to share a tab. So if you head on to the website and /verify, and it's just going to take you to the certificate verification box. And it's quite easy. If once you get your certificate in your name, you can just drag and drop or just select the file. So if it's a valid certificate, it's just going to give you a document is valid. It's just that easy. Or if anyone changes the certificate in any way or claims to have attended this course, it's just going to give them an invalid proof. It's that simple. So I wanted to emphasize that, please, once you get the email, just download the file. Do not save as, because even the slightest change to these files renders them invalid. I mean, the hashing process is that specific and that sensitive. So imagine this level of sensitivity to the information that is recorded, and think about all of the possibilities in place. I really hope you enjoyed this crash course as much as I did, and I'm open for questions. So happy to answer all your questions.
Thank you so much, Hussein. I think we can all appreciate how you also have the certificate, which will give us a live use case, as you said, of exactly what blockchain is and how it's applied in this instance. Because I also read that you said it will be recorded forever, right?
Exactly. So this immutability aspect of things. So you have this certificate forever, like you said. No one can claim otherwise. It is there because once the certificate is issued in one of the blocks that form the blockchain, no one can go back to change anything, because if they attempt to change anything, the rest of the network immediately just catches the attacker and they're blocked. And if they think about even changing anything, like we saw in the demonstration, even the slightest change, it's going to be rendered invalid. So think about all of the possibilities with this very simple solution.
Yeah, fantastic. So we have a question from, and she's, how do you access blockchain technology? Before you answer that, I am going to invite on to the stage Nasim, who also works in blockchain. And we just wanted the two of you, of course, just to, bounce around some ideas and just talk a bit about blockchain so that we can get more of a live feel of it, of course, in addition to what you have shared. And then, of course, we will answer the question here by Caroline on how you access blockchain technology. Hi, Nasim, how are you?
Hi,
Nasim.
Sorry, my English, it's not very good, but I will try talking English. Yeah.
You can, yes, you can try as much as you can. And if, of course, you feel you'd like to explain a bit further in French, you can kindly do so. So both of you, gentlemen, I'm going to leave you on here just for 15 minutes just to talk a bit about blockchain, starting off first, of course, with the question asked by Caroline on how you access blockchain technology.
Okay. On my presentation, I will do this in French, I prefer.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay.
No, you can share in like you can just speak in French. However, I would just like that you can just discuss it rather. So I don't know, Hussein, if you would like to go first on answering the question.
Yeah. Well, let's start the question. And Nasim, great to meet you, buddy. So to answer your question, it's a technology. So this technology is accessible to anyone. So think about it as the applications built using this technology. So it's the way that you record information. So when you think about the applications built on the internet, whether if it's Facebook or like let's say any social network or any kind of application, it's an application that is enabled by a technology. So for you to access blockchain, you are accessing a ledger or a transaction ledger for a specific application. So let's think about it in a simple way. So when you talk about the first application, which is a money application, which is Bitcoin, so you are gaining access to this financial system. So the blockchain is the ledger or the record of all transactions in this form of money or this form of digital asset. So what you're gaining access to actually is an economy or a service that is enabled by this new way of recording information, which is blockchain. So when you think about accessing this technology, what you're accessing actually is the services and the applications enabled by this technology. I hope I kind of answered your question in a very simple way. Nasib, until we get the all thumbs up, great to have you, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Hussein.
I read you're the co-founder of Blockchain Algeria, and I'd like to know more on your journey, your blockchain journey, and what is it you do with Blockchain Algeria.
Okay, we have this company. We have created them in 2016. We promote blockchain in Algeria. We collaborate with the government and other company for integrate blockchain in business. Yeah, and I make trading in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I begin in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in France. Today, I have two companies in Algeria and France. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And what are the I mean, when you say integrating this technology with the private sector and the governments, what are the main sectors or industries that are you tackling first? What kind of solutions are they asking for? What kind of solutions are you offering for them to integrate this innovative piece of technology?
Yeah, we make a project. Government Algeria. We want to make Algiers smart cities, and we have work about this project for security for data, and we think integrate blockchain in the finance for make the dinar in cryptocurrency.
Okay, so fintech and financial technology is one of the most hyped up industries now. And when you think about all these startups popping up and everywhere, like financial technology, and we're going to bank the unbanked. I mean, this is one of the things you hear a lot, because we mentioned that sometimes you read that most of Africa is unbanked and they don't access basic financial services. So with blockchain, like you said, this new technology enables access to people that do not have access to the simple financial institutions and services we take for granted. So what does blockchain offer people in this sense? Well, how can, like you said, I mean, how can blockchain help Africans or the unbanked with their access to this new global borderless economy of blockchain and the applications built on this groundbreaking technology?
I think the first way with ICO for access in the financial international finance, because we are in Africa, we don't have a lot of capital for finance the startup, and with blockchain we have access for finance international En français, on dit pour financer les projets, donc finance the project.
I really hope I worked on my French before this, because I was really good back at school with French, but I mean, I forgot everything. So after today's conference, I need to get back working on my French. So apologies. I think if we have some, if anyone's like to translate the last part, but I kind of get your I mean, where you're going at. But you mentioned, okay, you mentioned like Bitcoin and this new financial thing. You said you traded and you had access to it. So let's take Bitcoin for example. How does it differ from your generic financial system? Because how did you access it? I mean, for Africans and for people to access this new financial system that is an application on blockchain, how is it different? How is it different?
Traditional system in Algeria, for example, we don't have a lot of person have account bank. Account in bank. With blockchain, we need only internet and smartphone for access to buy anything in internet or electronic payment. This gap for African person, we can not la bureaucratie, je sais pas. C'est a lot of papers for make bank account. Blockchain, we need only our smartphone and internet for access in payment, electronic payment.
And this is revolutionary, because as much as, I mean, most of Africans now have maybe one and sometimes two smartphones, and the internet and the infrastructure of the internet is gaining traction. So, like you said, just having an internet connection and a phone or a smartphone, and you just have an application, you have access to a global economy without borders, without barriers to entry. I mean, this is revolutionary. And for Africans who have been sidelined for decades in our current internet age and digitization age, the new applications built on blockchain technology gives and enables people around the world who were sidelined to access this new way of transacting and exchanging value. I mean, yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, second way, because our bank, we don't give good services. We have expensive feed. We have delayed transaction, very, very long. With blockchain, it's a solution for this bad services.
Exactly, and you don't depend on just this one person that controls everything. So once you access any applications that's built on this technology, the transactions are between people and each other. There's no third party that governs this kind of interaction. I mean, I'd like to welcome also your questions to Nassim and myself. If anyone has any questions about the types of applications, the possibilities, and anything at all regarding this amazing innovation.
I think.
Yep.
Access blockchain. We don't have a question.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess again. I think we kind of did a good job, I guess. Or people are just digesting the whole thing. So it's either or. That anyway. I'm really thank you, Nassim, so much for helping me out.
Okay, sorry, Hussein and Nassim. We have actually one question, and it's also from Caroline, actually, and she's asking, who owns the data that is put into the blockchain application?
Okay, Nassim, you want to take that one?
I will. The data is. I will explain in French. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
les données appartiennent à personne à la blockchain parce qu'elles appartiennent à personne et à tout le monde. For everyone can download a blockchain and they will have data of transaction will be in a blockchain. Donc c'est tout le monde qui peut avoir la big but only public data because we don't know how person make this transaction. Donc c'est tout le monde qui a la data et en même temps c'est personne qui a la data personnelle. Private data. Wait, Hussein, you can explain.
Yeah,
more.
I can. Okay, so I can explain. I can explain. So if I understand correctly, so your data is recorded, like we said, in the blockchain, but this set of data is scattered and recorded amongst all of these computers around the world. But these computers do not have access to your information, but rather people can just audit or see the transactions, and they're all protected by something that's called cryptography. And the process of cryptography is encoding or changing simple readable text into code, so that only the people who are involved in a transaction or own this data can read this data. So data is protected. Data is, and as you as a user of a service that is enabled by this technology, only have access to this data. So think about how your data was controlled by these centralized entities, and with blockchain, you as a user online have the only access to your data. So you don't need any rules, you don't need GDPR, you don't need any regulation now to govern how your personal information is recorded online, because now you as a user only have access to your identity and all your data online.
Yeah. We also have here a comment here from Wafa, and Wafa is saying that Nassim said that data belongs to no one and everybody at the same time. Right?
That's
what
right.
You were.
That's right. That's right, because exactly. So all of the people who maintain this network, they all work together and collaborate to form the network that stores the information, but no one controls it and no one has access to this information except the people who are involved in this information.
Yeah. We have another question from Abdallah in Sudan. Welcome. And he says, do you have plans to establish, so this is to both of you, I'll start first with you, Nassim, and then you, Hussein. So the question is, do you have plans to establish an African institution to develop and support the use of blockchain technology so that government institutions can benefit from this technology? Nassim, any plans there in Algeria? Well, aside from, of course, the blockchain hub in Algeria.
Yeah, but you don't you must know in Algeria Bitcoin it's not legal. It's banned by the government. We don't have a plan in Algeria because it's not legal for cryptocurrency. For blockchain, we have a lot of use case. I think Hussein il a énuméré plusieurs points. Donc, they talk about this use case. We can make this in a lot of sector of the domaine. Je sais pas comment dire. Secteur, comment dire. Je vais vous dire ça. Pardon.
Okay, go ahead and just say it in French and give your whole answer in French, honestly. And then Hussein can also give his answer.
Yeah, different industries. I think what Nassim is saying is just different industries or fields.
Yes, industries, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. For Algeria, we should make this legal. After that, we can think about another plan.
Okay. Merci. And Hussein, your answer, let me go back to the question, do you have plans to establish an African institution to develop and support the use of blockchain technology so that government institutions can benefit from this technology?
Yes, definitely. I mean, obviously the blockchain hub is firstly an educational portal, because everything starts with education, and once you empower people with education, then you open their minds to possibilities. And the lovely thing about blockchain is that it depends on collaboration and incentive. So the more minds, the more people are involved in a project, they are all incentivized to bring this technology to and build products, startups, innovations built on this technology. And the blockchain hub, I mean, what we're doing is forming the community of people from Egypt and hopefully around the world who get together, network, connect, and I mean, get educated about the technology, and hopefully form synergies and collaborations and empower them to produce something really special. And what's amazing is, I mean, Africa's been playing catch up for a really long time, and I think it's time for people and Africans to leapfrog and just participate in this new form and this global economy without borders, without any restrictions. So hopefully, out of this hub, we as a community start innovating and talk to the government. I mean, it's a shady area, but aside from the currency application, the fact that you can build applications and solutions, something like the certificate, for example, that would enable trust. Not even, you don't have to trust, but you actually get validate information and exchanges of value online. So yeah.
So Nassim and Hussein, there's actually quite a bit of conversation that everybody would like to have with regards to blockchain. So what I'm going to ask is, during our break, if you could kindly, when we go to the lounge, so if you remember before the start of the event, we had virtual lounges where you could go, engage, and ask questions to anybody. So we have a lounge set up for the Blockchain Hub Egypt where Nassim and Hussein will be. So if you could kindly just go to that particular lounge and then ask all of your questions there, because I see some questions here on blockchain still.
And privacy, and privacy and everything,
Yeah. So because we are quite a bit over time, and I don't want us to, be too far off from the time that we had scheduled for ourselves, I'm going to say thank you, Hussein, and merci beaucoup, Nassim. I am going to now be inviting onto the stage Riem, as she just gives us a welcome, and then we move on to our training on artificial intelligence. So kindly remember, during the break, join Nassim and Hussein at the Blockchain Hub Egypt networking table and be free to ask all your questions. Of course, they will also be answering the questions during the event as we go along. So I am now